The Dallas Cowboys wrap up day one of mandatory minicamp. Brianna Aldridge and Garrett Podell here to break down what day one was all about. But the storyline of the day, of course, was Micah Parsons was in the building, and the Cowboys were at perfect attendance today, Garrett.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. I mean, he's their all-pro edge rusher. He kind of is the engine that makes this defense go. And he was excited to tell us that he feels pretty good about the conversation he and Jerry Jones had for like 25, 30 minutes out at practice today when it was team drills, 11-on-11 work, because he didn't participate a ton in practice today. You could maybe categorize his presence here today as a hold in because he did run out there, he did stretch, but he stretched off to the side, and then was more of a coach on the field today, giving some of his defensive line teammates kind of tips on their footwork and hand placement and things like that, because Parsons said, talks with the Cowboys they're going along, and he feels pretty good that they can be done before training camp, but he knows they're not going to rush into a deal, so he's trying to take it nice and easy, slow play everything prior to signing that contract.
And he did clarify after practice that because he was talking to Jerry Jones for a long time, if you will, and he did clarify that there was no contract talks happening in that moment, but we know that they've been in the midst, there's been negotiations, and like you said, he hopes it gets done before Oxnard, but if not, he did say that he's still going to continue to show up. Now, will he practice? That's a different question, but he told us he's going to keep showing up.
Right, he said he's rented a house for his family, his children, for the duration of training camp out in Oxnard, California, so that's a pretty serious commitment. He's going to physically be there, but yeah, maybe his back, like it was today after training with Trayvon Diggs on Monday, it might be a little sore until that contract is signed out in Oxnard.
And you brought up Trayvon Diggs, another defensive guy who wasn't here for voluntary OTAs. Want to keep saying voluntary for that part. But we did see him at practice. Of course, he wasn't participating. He wasn't even with the rehab group, but he was present. And like you said, Micah says they have been working out a lot together this offseason. But with no Diggs on the field, that means Deron Bland becomes your cornerback one.
Absolutely, and that's a role that he can certainly hold down when he's healthy. He led the league in interceptions in 2023 with 9. 5 of them were pick sixes, an NFL single-season record. And he's been great moving inside and outside, because if you remember, he was the slot filling in for Jordan Lewis in 2022 as a rookie, but thrived outside in 2023. And that's probably where he'll be. And Kyer Elam, the first-round pick from the Buffalo Bills, who was acquired in a trade this offseason, he looks like the Diggs fill-in early on here. He's been breaking up passes almost every practice. We've seen him out there. And Schottenheimer told us he's been one of the fastest guys, but when I spoke to him in the locker room a couple weeks ago, he said, "I'm the fastest," referring to the GPS chip tracker underneath their shoulder pads that indicates their heart rate and how fast they're going, things like that. So Elam, Bland, and then that third corner, that slot or other outside when Bland's in the slot, that's kind of up for grabs. We've seen Wanya Thomas, a safety, kind of play there a little bit, and they've rotated a lot of guys out. So the secondary, still a lot of question marks there.
It's definitely a lot of competition for the cornerback room, a lot because of the injuries we talked about. Like Kalen Clarkson was still working back and forth all last season. So we really don't know what he's going to be about going into year two. Of course, Diggs, like you said, we don't know when he will be back. But there are some free agents available, if you will, when we're talking about the cornerbacks. You brought one up today, and Schottenheimer said they're always monitoring what's going on out there.
Yes, I asked Brian Schottenheimer today, what are your thoughts on monitoring Jair Alexander's situation, the Pro Bowl and 2-time second-team All-Pro cornerback from the Green Bay Packers who's been released? And he said a Stephen Jonesism, which is player acquisition is 365 days a year, and so that's something they're going to monitor. So that's not a no, but I would say the timetable for a move like that would be similar to Trayvon Diggs' timetable. They're going to wait until training camp to see what Diggs can do, what rookie third-round pick Shavon Revel, who tore his ACL last fall, can do. So like Micah's contract, the cornerback situation, we all just got to sit tight and wait until training camp.
We've talked a lot about the defense, but I got to give a little love to the offense, because you even said it before we started this, that today was George Pickens' best practice. He's been fun to watch this entire time, but the energy between him and CD, I got to be up close and personal and see it for myself. They're like two unserious kids, but it's so fun, and I feel like it's the freshness this offense needed.
You're absolutely right, Bree, and what was impressive about Pickens is his receptions, they were all over the field. Dak hit him to the left in the flat, then deep down the left sideline, and the one where you were talking about was a touchdown deep down the right sideline. And CD told us earlier that he kind of wants to be the Amari Cooper to Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, in the way that the 5-time Pro Bowler mentored him when he was a rookie. And as we saw, he was giving Pickens some celebration technique tips after each celebration and catch. And so Pickens, he's seamlessly fitting right in. Both Lamb and Prescott, all three of them exchanged high fives pretty much after every play. You can see sort of the chemistry going up and up and up and up here in Dallas with that trio.
Yeah, it's all very exciting right now. It's only day one for mandatory minicamp. Of course, there's a lot more, but this is what you want. Everyone is here. That is the start. That's it for now. For Garrett Podell, for Brianna Aldridge.